Hello everyone. So in this video I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to talk about all the books I read in February. I am a huge reader. I love reading. And so I just kind of want to talk about them. And since this is a Christian channel, I wanted to talk about if the books are clean, if I'd recommend them, my ratings, what age range they are in, if they're okay to read, things like that. So let me grab my books and then we'll get started. Okay, so the first book I read was Better Than the Movies. I had already read this book a while ago, probably last year. So I went through and annotated it. I tabbed everything. I did like little, I tabbed things and I underlined things, and like this one's like a TV. So I went through and annotated this. It has a bunch of, I will say, okay, so first of all, the age rating, I would say 14 to 15 years old, I think. I read this last year. It does have some bad words, so what I love to do is I like to get a whiteout and I go through and get rid of all of them and replace them. So that's great. I also made my own little bookmark for it, and I love it. That's the annotation stuff. But so this was actually really fun to like go through and annotate. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I gave it like, I honestly am not sure what I rate it, because I feel like I don't relate to the character a lot, but it was really cute and there was lots of cute things they did. I feel like 4.8 to like a 5-star. I'm not sure. That's my rating. I gave you the age range. It does have some cussing, so just, yeah. Lynn Painter is the author. She does have lots of cussing in her books. This one doesn't have as much as another one that I read, which had a lot, and that was, ooh. But I would say this one is pretty good. There is like one intense like kissing scene, and that was like, I'm not a huge fan of like really crazy romance, so I was like, okay. But that's kind of it. Besides the cussing and that, like, yeah, that's like basically just the cussing. Okay, so the next books I read, I did a buddy read with my best friend, and we read the entire The Natural series. We read the first book, The Naturals. We binged it together in one night last year. I don't have a physical book. I read it on my Kindle. We binged the second, third, and fourth book together in the span of like a week or two. I give the whole series 5 stars. I love the series. Honestly, I might like it more than the Inheritance games. To be fair, I don't remember the Inheritance games that much, but I loved this series. It is so good. Age rating, again, I'd say 14 to 15. It has lots of violence. You know, it's about serial killers. So, it was really good. You do have some new chapters from the perspective of the serial killer, but those are really easy to skip. So if you don't really want to be in their mind, you can just skip those chapters entirely. I did personally enjoy trying to figure out like who it was, because I kind of like felt like an investigator, and that was always fun. But so like trigger warnings, I would say, is like the violence of that. But I am someone who doesn't really, I don't really read things too descriptively, so it didn't really bother me. I don't get bothered by that stuff. And I would say it's not too bad. It's a YA book, so it's YA level. But I give the whole series 5 stars. I loved it. I would say my least favorite book was, I would say my rating would be, my ranking of them would be All In. The third book is my favorite. Then The Naturals, I think. And because that plot twist was so good. And then I would say Bad Blood, and then I'd say Killer Instinct, because Killer Instinct kind of felt predictable for me in some areas. Like I kind of knew who all of them were, but at the same time, like I really felt like I was also kind of clueless. I really felt like in the second book we were really trying to figure out who it was, and I was really enjoying that. But it just was my least favorite, I would say, out of all of them. I do love all of them. And then Bad Blood, I actually didn't enjoy it for like the first, like the half, I feel like 60% of the book. We were introduced to a new character who I did not like, and there wasn't a lot of, like, I felt like we didn't really get some bonding between the Naturals group, you know? And that was kind of sad, but then there was some crazy plot twists. Like, not as good as the first book, of course, but there were some things I did not expect, and I did enjoy that. So I would say Bad Blood and Killer Instinct were my least favorite, but the entire series, I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. Like, when I finished Bad Blood, I was just like, wow, I finished the whole series. So I loved it personally. I don't think there's very much cussing, like, at all, which is great. There, if this does bother you, there is, like, there's no LGBTQ characters until the novella, which I did not read, called 12. There is, like, some mild flirting that you can't really even tell unless you search it up on Google. But that's not until, like, the 4th book, and it's barely mentioned. So honestly, it's not until the novella. Just letting y'all know. Okay, I just remembered, and I knew I was forgetting a book. I was like, something is not right. I read another book. I read Howl's Moving Castle for the first time ever. Everyone apparently loves it. It's a middle grade book, so honestly, you could read it at like age 12. I don't even know, but I would say like 12 to 14 or so. Whatever, it's a middle grade. But I personally really enjoyed it. It was cute. It was fun. I loved the characters. They should have been kind of unlikable, but there's something so deep about them, and their flaws were great. So I don't know. It was very cozy. There is, like, you know, witchcraft and stuff, since it's like a fantasy book. So if you're not a fan of that, then you won't want to read it. There's no cussing because it is a middle grade book, which is great. And yeah, it is a great book. So I give it like 4.5 stars. So yeah. So I finished Better Than the Movies, and then the 3 Naturals. Well, there, you know, there's 4, but I only read the last one. So I read 4 books. When I was reading Bad Blood, I finished Bad Blood right after I finished this book, which I got from the library, but then I got it myself. Also, this is so floppy. Like, it's great. I'm doing a horrible representation, but I enjoyed it. Like, I love, let me show you. There are these little, like, time markers. So it would be like 2 a.m. I thought that was just so fun. I liked it. I feel like it's not very fast-paced for the most part. The plot twist doesn't come until like the very end, I would say. Like, it doesn't come till the very end. I feel like most, like, at the very start, it's kind of slow, but there is kind of this angst, like, feeling underneath all of it. Like, there's just this undertone of like what's gonna happen, because they're stranded alone in the forest. It's like, oh my gosh. And it's kind of intense. Now, the language I was not a fan of in this book. There were lots of instances where the author used language and I was like, you could have just used a different word and it would have still given off the same emphasis. But no. Like, they are, you know, stranded in the forest alone in an RV. So it's like, okay, I get that you're scared, but like, we don't really want bad words. I believe Google says there was 80 F words. Yeah. Not great. I am going to be annotating this book for myself and bleeping it out, because what I like to do is, if I like lend a book to someone, I want to make sure it's bleeped out for them, because I really don't want them to be seeing that language. The language doesn't bother me too much, but for me, when I like read books with language, I need to like balance it, because like I need to be reading a book afterwards that like doesn't have language, or like, you know, making sure I'm spending a lot of time with God. Always, even when you're reading, like, always make sure you're prioritizing God throughout your days. And I've been honestly kind of not been doing that lately. But I feel like spending time with God is really important because it can kind of help, you know, like, you know, the language is not okay. Don't say it, okay? Like, don't say this stuff out loud. But besides that, this book is amazing. There is only really one graphic death. It's not really that graphic, but it's kind of like, oh. It doesn't bother me too much. I don't know. But I enjoyed this book. I gave it 4.5 stars, but I might end up changing it. I don't know. It's like in the 4.5 to 5-star range. I loved it besides the cussing. I would say the age range is probably like, honestly, I would say all of these that I'm going to recommend are maybe like 14 to 15. This one, like, and it has cussing, and so it's like I can't really recommend it any lower than that. So yeah, I loved this book though, but it does have lots of cussing. I think it had, I feel like the only cussing it really had was just the F word, basically, which is like kind of annoying. And I was like, bro. The book I read after that was this book, and it was great. I actually was able to annotate it while I read it. It is the second book to this, which I want to go back through and tab. I love Abby Emmons. She has an amazing channel. I love to write books, so I always watch her channel. And so this is the second book, and she just came out with her third book, which I have yet to read. But I just got this. I like ordered it forever ago, and it didn't come until like late. But I binged it in like a day. It's so short. But it was so cute, and I loved it. I think I gave it like 4.5 stars. My best friend gave it 5 stars. I might change the rating. I'm honestly not sure. I just feel like there's something about the first book where I was just like I really related to the hardships they were going through, and I was like giggling, and I was like tearing up, and I was laughing, and I was like, you know, it was so fun. I don't know. I finished this one and I was like, oh my gosh, like I was like, everyone needs to read this kind of thing. And then I finished this one, and I didn't feel the same thing, but it was cute, and I laughed, and it was cute. I liked it. The language is not much, like, which I really appreciate. The only bad word, I believe, is really only like the girl, the main character girl. She's like no bad words. She like does not do that. She does not say bad words. And then the male main character does say it sometimes. The only word he uses, I think, is the A word, and maybe every now and then the S word. But I think that was only used like once, maybe. But so that's not much, and that's like it, I think. My age rating, honestly, I feel like this entire series could be read at like 13 or something. It is so cute. It's YA. I love it. It's adorable. Like, I recommend it a lot. And, you know, I feel like as a Christian teen, I love to read YA, but YA always has a bunch of iffy stuff in their books. And so it's just like, oh, I can't find anything good. I would say this series is good. I would really recommend it. And then the last one I read. So I went to the library and I got 2 books. I got Fake Skating, which was an anticipated read of mine that I was really excited for. And I got another book that I'm hopefully going to finish soon. Unpopular opinion, I didn't like it that much. It's by Lynn Painter, who wrote Better Than the Movies. At first, I was liking it, you know. They were like childhood best friends who like kind of grew apart and like had a grudge against each other. I can relate to that, so I was really hoping for a really strong theme about the forgiveness and the grudge and stuff. But then once they like started fake dating and stuff, which is like, you know, mentioned instantly, you know, we all know they're gonna do that. Once they started fake dating, I was like, where's the grudge? They kind of seemed like instantly, like, not like instantly, but then it was like eventually they were like there was one point when they're already like full on kissing just to make someone mad, but then like a dare. And I was like, why are y'all full on kissing? Y'all are fake dating. I don't love the fake dating trope. It does kind of annoy me sometimes because I'm like, it's better when they're childhood friends. Like, I feel like in Better Than the Movies, it's done well. And there's no like intense kissing at all throughout the fake dating. which I love. There's just these cute little romantic things, which I adore. Whereas in here with the childhood friends lovers, I don't feel like I got many cute little romantic things. Instead, I got some like intense kissing scenes, and I was like, why are we doing that? And there were tons of moments when I laughed out loud, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can relate to that, and like tearing up and stuff. But then there was this one point, like there was one scene where the guy, Alec, well, first of all, the cussing, oh my gosh. This book has so much cussing. Oh. But there was one time when, like, Alec, he was, like, in the locker room taking a shower, and then he came out. So he was, like, only in his boxers. And his, childhood ex-best friend, was, like, crying. So he goes and comforts her, gives her a hug. Kind of weird, but also, like, he's comforting her. So I was like, okay, I can let that slide. But then, like, at one point, they, like, were, like, for real dating. And they're like, let's recreate that scene. And I was like, heck nah, bro. You are not doing that. And it was kind of gross. I was just not a fan. Because, like, when it's an accident and he's just trying to comfort her, I'll let it slide. But when he's, like, when they're full on, like, when they're purposely, like, what was the point of that? It was pointless. There was lots of intense kissing. I didn't really feel like I got a lot of the cute romantic things. And, on the cover, I don't know why, but I assumed she was going to be, like, a skater, and he was going to be, like, a hockey player. And he is a hockey player. But she's not a skater. And I was kind of hoping for some, like, cute little skating moments, or some, like, cute little, I don't know. I feel like in this book, we got a lot of cute things. Like, here, let me get my bookmark. Like, we have, like, see, like, there are so many cute little themes that I was able to implement on this bookmark. And I feel like in fake skating, we didn't get that as much. And I feel like if that one scene wasn't recreated, because, like, I got the total ick, and I was so wildly concerned when I was like, whoa, what are y'all doing? And then I was like, okay. But, like, I don't know, at that point, I, like, kind of got the ick. And Google says there's 250 F words. Like, that is more than 5 Survive. And I felt like 5 Survive had a lot. Like Alec was, like, cussing, like, all the time. And it was so annoying. I was like, bro, you don't need to say that. So I gave this one, like, 3 stars. There were so many chances. Like, at first, I was like, okay, I was, like, reading this, and I was like, this is cute. It's nice. I'm laughing. But I was like, okay, this last part needs to be all the, like, little cutesy romantic things. Like, the stargazing or whatever. Like, in my book I'm writing, I'm really trying to implement just, like, the little seeds of romance. Just the little cutesy romantic activities. I just didn't feel like we really got anything except the kissing. And I was just like... And I feel like at the time when they, like, were, like... they got over their grudge. They were just, like, so in love with each other. Like, they didn't really care. And I was just like, okay. So, I did not love this one. I gave it 3 stars. Age rating? I don't know. You could read it at 15. I don't love it. I feel like you could read it at, like, 16. Or, I don't know. It had a lot of cussing. And I kind of got the ick at some point. So, I just didn't love it as much as I hoped to. So I definitely, if you're wanting to read a Lynn Painter book, this one, a lot of people love this one, but I didn't. I do relate a lot to the main character, but not as much as I do to Lynn Painter's other book, Betting on You, which I'm about to reread this month with my friends. But I just didn't love this one as much as I wanted to, which kind of disappointed me, to be honest. But that was my personal opinion. Oh. Okay. So yeah, that's, like, pretty much it. These are the books I read. I read a total of 7 books. I read Betting on You. No, I did not read Betting on You. I read Better Than the Movies, a reread, and I got to annotate it, which was super fun. I love making bookmarks. And I usually, like, watch a movie in the background while I make the bookmarks, so I loved that. That was so fun. I buddy read Buddy read the rest of the Natural series with my best friend. This book, like I don't really relate to the main character, but there were so many cutesy little romantic things, and I just really enjoyed it. And it was heartwarming, and it was cozy. There is lots of cussing because it's Lynn Painter. So, but there's not as much as there was in Fake Skating. I would give this a 4.8 to 5 stars. I think. I'm not totally sure. I read the entire Natural series with my friend. I do not have it physically. One day I will be getting it physically just to be displayed on my bookshelf and annotate it. Oh my goodness, that'll be so fun. But I gave that entire series 5 stars. I love it. There's like not much cursing. I don't even know if there is any. I don't really remember. But there's definitely not that much. It was just, there was like a found family theme. It was cute. It was enjoyable. You know, it is about serial killers, so if that does bother you, heads up. That's the entire series. In the middle of the Natural series, I was reading this book, and I finished it in the span of a day, like in a 24-hour radius. I loved it. I love it. I think I'm gonna give it like a 4.5 or a 5 star. I'm not fully sure yet. The reasons I didn't give it 5 stars, like I feel like I finished it and I was like, wow, this is real life. But I had the main part of the book, I had it spoiled to me from Pinterest. Pinterest spoiled it to me. The audacity. And there was lots of cussing. That just didn't feel very necessary. But besides that, I would give it 5 stars. And my friend, I gave it to her. I like bleeped out all the bad words for her. She gave it 5 stars and she didn't have the spoil. So honestly, it probably would have been a 5 star. So I feel like once I'm gonna re-binge this like this week or next week with a friend, and I'm gonna annotate it. And so once I do that, I'm gonna kind of determine my rating. But it's somewhere between 4.5 and 5 stars. But it definitely did lose some points because I had it spoiled and there was cussing. The book I read afterwards, I read in the span of 24 hours or a little bit more. It was so cute. It could have been binged, and like I basically binged it in a, did I binge it in a day? I don't know. I basically binged it in a day. It was so cute, and it had really cute vibes. I think this one would have been really fun if I was able to read around Christmas time, so it's definitely going to be a reread when Christmas comes around. Also, going to reread it again, of course. I would totally recommend this series, the 100 Days of Sunlight series. There are officially 3 books now. I adore it. It's great. So, there's not much cussing at all. I would say, like, this one could be, like, 13 plus. Maybe younger. There is just mild cussing. Just the A word, I think. Maybe a few S words. Maybe like 1 in each book, I'm not sure. Not much at all, which is a blessing compared to some certain books. But yeah, so I really recommend this series. I adored it. I gave this one 4.5 stars. It's just small, it's cute. I gave the first book 5 stars. I loved it. And then the last book I read was Fake Skating, which I didn't love as much as I thought I would, which was kind of unfortunate. It had lots of cussing, lots of F words. I felt like I was liking it and I was laughing and I was like cheering up, but then I just kind of got the ick. And it's the fake dating trope, which is either a hit or a miss. And it can be done well if they are like childhood friends, or like if they were childhood something, like they knew each other. And if there was like they fake date, but they only do like the cute little romantic things, they're not like full on kissing every 5 seconds. But whereas like in Betting on You, they did like kiss a bunch of times, and I was like, guys, y'all are total strangers, kind of, basically. I don't know, I need to reread that book, but 3 stars. I was loving it, or I was thinking, I was like, oh, this is so cute. But I was just really hoping this last part would do it for me, but it did not. It did not. So yeah, those are all the books I read in February. That means I read Better Than the Movies, 1, 2, 3 Naturals, 5 Survive, And then another book. I read 8 books in February, so that is crazy. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys.